Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Big Freaking Friday Show here on the College Football Mafia Network. Unfortunately, Nate is a little bit under the weather, could not join us tonight. I think he's just playing hooky. But we've got Daniel Gygax. We got an upgrade. So we got upgraded to Daniel Gygax. We got Wild Ute here. We're going to talk tonight a little bit about the Big Ten moving west, looking west, young man. Go west, young man. How are you doing this evening, Professor Wild Ute?
I am doing absolutely fantastic. I cannot wait for this conversation. And yeah, we'll be going west, guys. We will be going west. So happy Friday, y'all.
And yourself, Daniel Gygax. How are your things in the Bay Area?
Fun, excitement. It stopped raining. You can sit there and see the nice sunshine out there. It is 65 and sunny.
Ooh.
Congratulations. Nice. It is mud and shit in Ohio.
It's been cold in Salt Lake. Yeah.
Let's go ahead and roll in to see who came in so far, who's here early. We will be talking conference realignment, conference expansion, conference consolidation, conference, whatever euphemism you wish to use. We will discuss it. Jose was first, but says second because YouTube probably erased somebody's comment. Buckshot Kid says, oh, hey, at the CFB Mafia.
Hey.
Outlaw Sky says he's fifth. Go Buckeyes. The Big Lubbock is first, which is not a shocker. Coy is here. Good to see you, Coy. Fergie is here. Fergie, we're going to be talking about the Buffs. Don't go anywhere.
Sure.
MM1012MD. Cal and Stanford have more pull from various sources, more than people think.
I will sit there and say Stanford with Andrew Luck is hitting up everybody that has a Stanford tie to give up some money for their football program.
Movie Time Blues, if you really want to know who has the most real shot at joining the Big Ten, they're the ones most quiet, not the ones making the most noise, jumping up and down. That would suggest who has options. Bob Swanger is here in the house as well. He says, hi, everyone. MGC Sooner says, hey, y'all, Boomer.
Boomer. Sooner.
Manic Reactions with the Maltese on his head says, hey there, campers. Good to see you, Manic Reactions. Sac State to the Big Ten. The TV ratings are clear. That's from our friend Rock and Rant at CFB Express. Thank you, Rock. Appreciate it. See you on Sunday. Antoine Johnson says, hey, everyone.
Hey. We will be talking about ASU tonight, Antoine.
First super chat of the evening goes Becky Go Huskies, Idaho to the Big Ten, Kibby Dome.
World famous Kibby Dome. She's got that right.
Is that just a
we have a sounder for Idaho?
No, well, it became like a meme type thing from one of the college football video games. And one of the Kibby Dome had one of the highest ranked stadium environments. And then, of course, the University of Idaho ran with it, and it just blew up, and everybody says Kibby Dome for everything.
See, I thought maybe it had to do with like world famous Idaho potatoes sponsored it, and that was hence the world famous Kibby Dome. But thank you for filling us in there. Cop O E Major. Capo Major. We'll go with Capo Major. Hashtag Boomer Sooner and hashtag Forks Up. That's a unique combination.
Boomer Sooner.
Hi, everyone. Had mouth surgery. What a bitch. Hurt so bad.
Ow.
Oh, man. Heal up, Sean. Welcome in.
It's called booze, Sean. It's called booze. Takes care of everything.
Let's go, Moon.
Becky Go Huskies, floating goalposts only in Idaho.
Yep.
Two Master says, who's the hoe? Well, you know what that means. I got to find that sound effect and play it. Because even though Nate's not here, you know why he's not here.
I don't want to be taken advantage of.
You saying you can't control your bitches?
Pimpin' ain't easy. Oh, sleepy. Pimpin' ain't easy. Pimpin' ain't easy. Pimpin' ain't easy.
Aiming to be sick, but Nate's out on that track. Evil Badger. If conferences could trade schools, I'd trade Nebraska for KU and Minnesota for ASU. Oops, don't tell Greg.
If Greg heard that, he would sit there and say that the Badgers were scared to play the Gophers. Sorry, Ryan. He would sit there and say that.
Appreciate the super chat, Ryan, but as a Big Ten guy, I don't want to trade anybody. I want to keep everybody we have so far. But thank you for that. And let's give you an old Keith Jackson, Whoa Nelly.
Whoa Nelly!
Thank you again for the super chat there. All right, guys, let's get into it. Professor, you have skin in the game. Daniel, you don't really have skin in the game, but you're near where there's skin in the game.
Yeah, I'm right near Berkeley and Stanford. Yes.
I think it would be fun to go target by target and have a discussion. And I know, Dan, you've prepped some DMA information in anticipation for these conversations. But look, there are 7 schools that have linkage here to the Big Ten Conference, and they're right here shown on the screen out west. So these are really going to be your key options for Big Ten expansion in a 20, 24 team scenario or whatever scenario you're looking at. So they all deserve consideration and discussion. Some are stronger candidates than others, perhaps, but I think that we should just get into this, guys. And first off, looking at the map, the Big Ten logos basically in Rosemont, Chicago, outside of Chicago. That's kind of the heart of Big Ten country, right, Moan? Right there in Chicago.
Chi-Town. That's right.
Yep, Chi-Town right there. So it kind of just gives you a little visual about the heart of Big Ten country and the geographics that we're looking at. Of course, the Big Ten expanded with Oregon, Washington, USC, and UCLA, which blew up the map. But we're looking at these candidates, a couple in California, in the desert region, Colorado, Utah, and Kansas here. So just a visual showing you exactly what the locations would look like for all these expansion candidates. But here we go. We're going to go in just alphabetical order, guys, here for the 7 candidates that we're talking about. And so, Daniel, why don't we give some perspective, maybe some DMA figures on Tucson and the Arizona Wildcats in Big Ten linkage?
You're muted, Daniel.
It doesn't go that far down on the link I have. It only goes top 50 markets. I know Tucson is very low.
Mm-hmm. So Tucson, go ahead.
You would consider Phoenix an Arizona market?
It is.
I mean,
but
it's not
Phoenix
that far.
but Phoenix already has ASU, and if we're going to play this, yes, Arizona has everything that you're looking for. They're just missing market, and if you go just a little north, you get a little bit better market. You get a lot better market with it.
I just think don't discount Arizona, because I think you can go a little bit north with Arizona and get that market.
True.
And Arizona has very good basketball.
So check it out. So Arizona is AAU. Okay. Huge factor here. Arizona's basketball is in the elite category. We all know that. They are ranked number 1 for many of this basketball season. The football program is improving. But here's a little bit of a factor, guys. Based on the most recent television data that I've looked at and analyzed with Rock and Rant that we're going to do some videos on in the next couple weeks, we did a lot of analysis and adjustments for TV windows, rankings, etc. Arizona actually has as much basketball poll viewership-wise in football than Arizona State, based on the last 5 years. So Arizona State and Arizona, in other words, basically are the same type of football viewership poll on TV, not even considering basketball, which is a big factor and stuff. Market-wise, based on who you talk with, a lot of Arizona fans and even a lot of media market maps will say that Arizona actually gets Phoenix market. gets Tucson and Phoenix, and so it pulls from both markets. So there's a big time population area too. You're looking here if you're adding in Phoenix with the University of Arizona. And it's already a new market for the Big Ten Conference. There's a lot to like about the Arizona Wildcats, kind of an underdog, dark horse candidate for Big Ten expansion.
Tucson 65th, Phoenix is 12th.
Yep.
Right.
But you are correct that you are getting a lot of bleed into Phoenix. And let's say the Big Ten, that Big Ten network will get premium subscription rates in the Phoenix market.
Yeah, absolutely. The basketball program really, if you go back and look at my Moen Confidential video, by the way, if you're a member, you can check out that Moen Confidential video at any time in our library. To become a member, click the little cash icon. You can also, from there, leave us a super chat like Becky has. Become a member or gift a membership. As a Washington fan, I don't want the Arizona schools. Craziest games happen there. I'd prefer to never travel to Tempe or Tucson ever again.
Alcohol induced.
It's tough to win down in Tucson. It really is.
Yes.
It's a crazy place to play a football game. The desert. It seems like it's harder to win down in Arizona than Phoenix, based on the Utes prior games and everything. So I'm with Becky right here. Washington's had a heck of a hard time beating Arizona too in football down in Tucson.
Well, here we go. According to Becky Go Huskies, Arizona State is
Denied.
Thank you for the super chat, Becky. Yeah, when I did my thing, the basketball really helped Arizona boost up over ASU. I was shocked myself. We've heard so much about ASU, but according to the algorithm, that basketball lets Arizona edge over Arizona State.
I think it's worth noting too, like NIL has been fairly quiet for Arizona. I don't know exactly where they stand, but they're not spoken of as one of the top Big 12 schools in NIL. I mean, they've got a good basketball roster, but they're not necessarily a big spender. So they might be, I'm kind of having a feeling that they have a in-between status for NIL. So that's not going to be a swing factor. But I think you found right here, a strong candidate that's a sneaky strong candidate when you're looking here at Arizona Wildcats. Moving on, guys.
Sure.
Yep.
All right, Moen, why don't you start it out right here, Arizona State.
They're in the bigger market, but they just got AAU status, big party school. Hey, I love that. I love that for Big Ten games. I'd love to go to there and party, but man, ASU, outside of market, I really don't understand. You're purely market adding at this point. Purely. They just got AAU status. They're a growing university still on that side. Yes, huge market, but if it comes down to it and I've got to take one of the Arizona schools, I take Arizona.
Arizona State's got a massive student population.
They do.
They are in a pretty good sized market. If you need to fly in anybody, Sky Harbor is a pretty good sized airport, and it's an American hub now. So, I mean, it's going to be tough to sit there. It's a coin flip between Arizona State, because both of them have bleed up into Phoenix. Both of them are really good schools. So I would almost say Sun Devils over Wildcats, just due to the fact it would be easier to travel into Phoenix than Tucson.
Right. And I'll just say this. I don't think either Arizona school is high on the list of potential candidates out west. I think there's other candidates that are higher than them. But, again, between the two of them, the algorithm kicked out that they like Arizona more just because of that. And I think it's because of basketball revenue. But there's so many data points in that algorithm I use that it's ridiculous. So the basketball, I think, is what puts Arizona over the top. Neither one of these have been traditionally football powerhouses. No. Arizona State came close one year until David Boston caught a touchdown pass. And that's the closest I think either of them have ever come to winning a national championship, correct?
Arizona's been really close. They've had some undefeated seasons in the past where they were super close. I think they've got a little bit more football history than Arizona. Every time I see the logo, that Sparky logo, I always just think potential. That's always the conversation around.
But here's the thing: they don't use the Sparky logo anymore. You use that for.
I know. I gotta put the Sparky on though. I love this.
I
logo.
agree. I agree with
It's one of the best ever created. I can't use this new logo, guys.
Oh, here's what's going to put it over the top. What does Arizona State have that Arizona doesn't?
Chlamydia?
No, that too, but Division I hockey.
That's true. They do have a hockey program. They do have a hockey program.
You are crazy, Simone. Okay, let's talk more about Arizona State here. So Arizona State is AAU, just like Arizona. Yeah. They do own the Phoenix market. Tempe is in Phoenix outskirts there. So they actually have that market 100% no conversations there. A huge student enrollment, like Daniel mentioned, too. More football potential. I think a better football brand than Arizona, despite the TV ratings say they're basically kind of the same flat perception-wise on the screen. But they don't have the basketball. These two are really close, and like the more you dig into it, the more it looks like maybe Arizona could edge out Arizona State because of the basketball, guys. When you really dissect this, it's so dang close, and it could just come down to market. Like, does Arizona get the Phoenix market or not, based on what your media folks say? And if they do, then maybe Arizona's the stronger ad.
They would.
If they don't, then it's ASU.
Yeah. I mean, they both bleed up into Phoenix. I mean, they both are in the Phoenix market. It's just, how do you want to count the split? Because Tucson, I mean, I can guarantee you any University of Arizona game is going to get watched in Phoenix. And wherever we're talking about premium rates for the Big Ten network, guaranteed that the Phoenix market's going to have to pay it.
Yeah.
No matter which school is at it.
Between the two, just like based on intuition too, it just feels like ASU is a better Big Ten candidate. They're in a big city. They just seem have always that way that they're more Big Ten-esque than Arizona. But that might just be my own thoughts. I don't know what you guys think about that.
If you are going to fly in your volleyball team, are you going to fly them into Phoenix and then take the drive down to Tucson? Or are you going to just fly them into Phoenix and just take the 15-minute bus trip over to Tempe? Because, like I said, Sky Harbor is an American Airlines hub. It's huge.
Yep. Yeah, so it's super close between these two. Like Moan said, probably not the top in the West as far as Big Ten candidates, but very interesting discussion points. Let's move on, guys.
All right.
Alphabetical order. Let me start this one, okay? All right. We're taking a different approach tonight. We're not digressing into last week's conversation here, okay? So Cal Berkeley, what does Cal add to the Big Ten? Cal is an elite academic institution. They are Big Ten all the way, even better than Big Ten academics as far as like your baseline. A massive research institution, a world-renowned university, very respected, good Olympic sports. In a big city, in a populous state, Cal has that to offer. Why don't you guys add on to that too?
Good seats still available at Memorial Stadium, though. They're papering tickets just to get people to show. Ron Rivera has hit up people left, right, and sideways to cut checks to try to get more NIL, try to get this, that, and all this other stuff into Berkeley football. When was the last time you heard anything about Berkeley basketball? I mean, 1959, whenever they won a championship with Jim Nolan? No. I mean, it's been forever. So now what? How do you play that? They are depending on how you look at it, they're the number one or number two public university in America for academics. It swaps between UCLA and Berkeley. And Berkeley would love to be in the Big Ten, and the southern campus of the University of California would just love to stop cutting a $10 million a year check to Berkeley.
Yeah.
I mean, that right there is just, let's get right down to it. And it's the 9th media market in America. And I did some research, and I could not find out if the Big Ten network is already charging premium rates for the Bay Area. I know they are for LA. I could not find a yes or no. So if the Big Ten already has premium rates set for all of California, adding Berkeley, would it really help the Big Ten network? Maybe. I just couldn't find a yes or no. Maybe Moen would know if
as far as I know, they would not be a local carriage fee. They're too far away from.
Yeah, it's 300 miles away from
Yeah.
Los Angeles to the Bay Area. I mean, we're talking quite a haul. So I couldn't find a yes or no. And I know some of them, it is a pretty big carriage fee for it. So let's say that, I mean, it's worth adding Berkeley just for the carriage fee in the Bay Area, because let's just look at how many cable subs that you still have, cable and satellite subs that you still have. It's somewhere around, the rough number I found was 3.5 million. Let's say that's an extra $1 a month. Hello, that's a lot.
The carriage fee discussion is interesting.
Yes.
I believe that that because of UCLA and USC, that they do have access to basically other markets within California. So you kind of already get the benefit from Berkeley already in the current structure.
Yes.
I have heard that before. I'm trying to source it. I couldn't source it. That's an interesting topic, though, of course.
Yeah.
If you can add more bang for the buck, getting in Berkeley if you're not getting it already.
I couldn't find a yes or no. And I looked everywhere. I couldn't find it. So getting into the market would help. But here is another wrinkle. Guess who else is a part of the Ivy League system? The University of California, Berkeley. And it's through their graduate school, mainly Lawrence Labs up on the hill.
Huh.
So they have a deal with, I mean, you got to think of it this way. That library system includes Caltech, it includes MIT, includes all those Ivy League schools. And they would just love to have, and they love having access to Lawrence Labs. I mean, you want to know how many chemical elements were discovered up on top of the hill? I think it's 16. I mean, that's a lot. I mean, the only premium parking that you have there on campus is for Nobel Prize winner. Oh yeah, prize winners. Oh yeah, they've got like a couple hundred that are faculty. But Berkeley athletics does have some issues, but it is worth the ad.
It is
So
only. It is.
And Becky put on there, the only knock at Cal is the stadium at the top of the hill. There's parking for Nobel Lawrence and no one else. And that's at Lawrence Labs at the very top of the hill there. Yeah, it's nuts.
Yeah, here's the thing for me. Cal is only worth it if they bring Stanford.
True.
I think you need to bring you need both. Does the Big Ten want both? If it's an option of either or, they're taking Stanford. Obviously, Stanford money just dwarfs Cal money. Private money dwarfs public money in that situation. That's definitely big bank take little bank. And Cal athletics, they've had a couple of close seasons, and then they had the whole dysfunctional Justin Wilcox, Ron Rivera situation going on there. I just don't see enough money in Cal athletics to put Cal towards the top of my list. Plus, you are tripling up in California at that point. We'll have 3 teams.
They've got money. They just have to be able to get people to cut checks. And that's the problem that they've had is getting people to cut checks.
I don't think that they're going to leave the IPLC for Big Ten Academic Alliance, unless Stanford does too.
Yeah, and the way that boosters work there at Berkeley is that they want their name on a building, or they want their name on a office, or they want their name the Dan Gigak's scholarship for nuclear physics or something like that. That's what they donate money to. They don't necessarily donate money to athletics. I get it.
Yeah, it seems like a lot of the alumni and the boosters just don't really care that much about athletics. It's Ivy League type of thinking, right?
Yeah, I've lived out here for 30 years. I've lived out here since April of '93, and it took the past 8 years. Berkeley's had one sellout, and that was playing Stanford. They do not fill that building up very well at all. The Miami game, there was a ton of empty seats still available for that Miami game.
Becky Go Huskies with the $2 super chat. Wilcox was fired. Lou Poya's head coach, Cal alum.
Yep.
I understand that, Becky. I'm aware of that. It's just the fact that whole dysfunction stretched on for. That's a dysfunctional program where your head coach is constantly walking the line, knowing that Ron Rivera is looking over his shoulder.
And Berkeley's got 2 athletic directors right now. It's not a co-athletic director. It is athletic director is what they have there now. And it's kind of dysfunctional because they don't talk to each other. I know.
Sounds like a typical California marriage right there.
Yeah.
Nobody talks to each other.
I know.
Let's move on, Let's move on from Cal.
Let's get to some comments, and then we'll jump back into it. We've got 4 more to talk about and stuff.
All right. MM 1012 MD. Arizona comes with 2 med schools and Banner Health.
They do.
Wild Ute, read this.
Wild Ute, read this.
There you go.
Got it.
Flagship programs are always going to be preferred. Only 2 states that doesn't work out is Ohio and Pennsylvania.
Whoa. Ohio State University and Pennsylvania State University are both the flagship universities of their states.
Now I'm going to have to use my infinite power in the Big Ten to block Kansas, Jason. I'm sorry. You brought this on yourself.
That's the first time you've ever heard that Ohio State wasn't the flagship, right, Moan?
Big Ten West needs a school in Texas. That's Texas Tech.
Here's the deal with Texas Tech. Texas Tech really needs one thing to happen, and that needs the best of the rest formation with 12 to 16 schools. That's the way that Texas Tech gets in to a different league and more of a higher caliber league, if you want to think about it like that. I just don't see a route for Texas Tech to get in the SEC or the Big Ten, given market, AAU status. Those are the 2 disqualifiers, especially the market. But I do think Texas Tech 100% would be in the best of the rest. And so if I'm a Red Raider fan and I want to move up to a different type of league and stuff, that might be a 3rd best league, that's what I'd be rooting for.
Yeah, the only thing that Texas Tech lacks is academics and market, which are the 2 biggest things I think in expansion right now. It's academics and market. And I get that Texas Tech's spending a lot of money on NIL on football, but the Lubbock market is a hard sell. The academics at Texas Tech is a hard sell. If the Big Ten was going to get into Texas, they would go through TCU.
Because it's in DFW already.
Because it's in the DFW market. It's a private school. They're, I believe, going to be R2 research here, or R1 research here in the next year or so, which is on their way to AAU status. It is a private school, smaller enrollment than Texas Tech, obviously, but I don't believe Big Ten's going to get into Texas. And I have a good reason why. So I don't believe the Big Ten is going to get into Texas, so I think Texas Tech may have other options. Becky Go Husky says Calgorithm is absolute fire.
Let's go.
Evil Badger says Cal Stan. I see that's I've always heard of Cal Ford. Calford Pigback.
Cal Stan.
Calgorithm, mentioned again. Calamoni. Can we just put Cal in front of everything that starts with an A now? Big Ten should expand into Florida and Texas, adding Miami and Texas Tech taps elite recruiting, huge TV markets, and boosts national reach. David, I love your passion for Texas Tech, but the Lubbock CSA is not a huge TV market. It's not when compared to Dallas-Fort Worth. Cal still has to pay off stadium renovations for the next decade, so they are not dropping football.
They owe somewhere around I think it's still like $400 million on that renovation. They basically knocked the hillside down to rebuild that stadium. They had to, because earthquake fault runs right through the middle of the building. Kid you not. There's 1 foot of offset.
There you go. There's another reason not to take Cal. Earthquakes.
There is 1 foot of offset from the east and west sidelines at Memorial Stadium in Berkeley. Hayward fault runs right through the middle of it.
Well, there you go. One more reason not to take Cal. Got a super chat here from our friend LC versus the Earth.
Let's go.
Ohio State controls expansion. If you want into the Big Ten, better give Moen that bag to grease the skids. Yeah, Moen's got a lot of reach at the old Woody Hayes Athletic Center and Fawcett Tower. I'm well known there. And yeah, better make that a very heavy super chat. LC versus Earth, you don't have anything to worry about. You're already in. You're in, buddy. But anybody else, I want to see some super chats here. Thank you for the super chat, LC versus the Earth. By the way, I'm going to play you a little sounder.
I am feeling the effects of masculinity right now. I feel the testosterone. I want to go to war. I want a lightsaber. I'm a man.
Thank you again for the super chat. MM1012MD says Big Ten Network already has a partnership with Cal and Stanford for volleyball, I believe.
I don't think their volleyball is not in the Big Ten.
I don't think it's in the Big Ten, but he's saying Big Ten Network has some kind of partnership.
No, they're in the ACC. That would be the ACC network.
Okay. I'm just reading a comment, Daniel, man.
Yeah, I know.
You're flying off the handle at me. FF18 Buffs or Fred Fergie. Cal really does not seem like a long-term option for football. Feels like they are an actual candidate for dropping football.
I will let you into something. Before the renovations of Memorial Stadium, there was discussion about dropping football and dropping down in athletics for Berkeley. Those conversations did not happen further up the food chain. They stayed in the Pac-12. A lot of it is that the amount of money that they had to sink into that stadium was just monumental. And the way they have it financed, I don't think the bonds are paid off until 2113. They took a bath on those bonds.
Cal is not the type of brand to go on it their own way, but they're probably one of the best when it comes to the type of school you'd want to have in your conference. Yes, the school you'd want to have in your conference, not necessarily an athletic program. Thank you for that sounder. I'll take Colorado all day long. So freaking beautiful. Thank you, Hooja Dave. Still experiencing the euphoria, no doubt, of a national championship. Mr. Monkey says Cal sports are super exciting. Said nobody. I'm sure they're good at something.
They do a lot of Olympic sports, Albert.
Yeah, they do a lot of Olympic sports, but I don't know.
So if you look at the athletic directors, that championship that they have, they're always in the top 10.
Yeah, the Director's Cup.
Yes.
So the dual athletic directors that don't speak to each other at Cal have managed to make sure they're top 10 in the Directors Cup.
Yes. Well, they just took over a year ago. So your results may vary in future years.
I can't wait till they get to the triumvirate of athletic directors. Go Black 45 says hashtag Army of 48 breakaway. I concur. Not necessarily 48, but I believe there will be a breakaway. Ending Notre Dame got Cal and Stanford into the ACC. Wouldn't be surprised to see the same card pulled along with other supporters for the Big Ten. This is where I have to agree with MM 1012 on. If Notre Dame comes in and says we want Cal and Stanford, as long as they're willing to join the Big Ten Academic Alliance, you're getting Cal and Stanford. And that's the end of West Coast expansion.
So Notre Dame's affiliation, academics, the calimony, and the market are the four strengths of Cal Berkeley.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Cal went 6-7 and 7-6 in the ACC, beating SEC, Auburn, Minnesota, ranked 14 Louisville, and 25 SMU. Yeah, Cal did good under Justin Wilcox. Almost like they shouldn't have fired the guy, but you know,
Tosh is a good coach. It's going to work for them.
The Big wanted to add Stanford and Cal, but Fox was not going to pay for it. The only way Stanford gets added in the future is a +1 to Notre Dame. Chris, I'm going to disagree with you here. Stanford and Cal could be in the Big Ten today. They chose not to be.
For academic reasons.
For academic reasons, they did not want to leave the Ivy Public Library Confederation. So Stanford could have had Cal in there today. We could be talking about those schools southeast today. Nunn says, go the color royal Moen. Yeah, I'm not going to say it. Not going to say it, Nunn. Miami and Florida State if they are AAU, if not Georgia Tech.
Miami is AAU.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think he's saying if Florida State is an AAU.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
He's saying if Florida State does get to AAU status, you take Florida State. If not, then you take Georgia Tech. Does calimony still stand in Cal's way?
No.
I think it's funny that the two athletic directors that don't talk to each other could both agree on calimony.
That was they just took over in July of 2025. So Jim Nollington was the previous athletic director that calimony set up.
Okay. Greg said Ohio State leaders want Stanford. That's true. Every Big Ten school wants Stanford.
Yeah.
It's a money pot. It really is. So got another super chat from our friend Becky. Looked it up. Cal has 2 ADs, but only for this school year. They're working to modernize NIL strategies and football success. So
I will say
Ron is going away.
I will say Ron Rivera is hitting people up left, right, and sideways to get money for Berkeley football. He is doing everything he can just to get somebody to open the checkbook up to, hey, we need $10,000 for this or $15,000 for that. He's trying to get low end buy-in right now. And then it's going to hit him up. Hey, we need $2.2 million to buy this quarterback.
Okay. But what is best in life?
Crush your enemies, see them driven before you, and hear the lamentation of their women.
Thank you for the super chat, Becky. We've got a very generous super chat from our friend Capo Major, 50 beans. Holy hell.
Let's go.
Drop some dollars. Let's drop some dollars. Where's the dollar drop? Here it is.
Drop them down, Moen.
Dropping dollars. Let me see here. Special. Where's the pay me my money one?
Pay me my money.
Oh.
Tell them to bring me my money.
Every faucet in my house is mowing. Everything is mowing.
Split Arizona and Arizona State between the SEC and Big Ten. A Western SEC pod of Arizona State, BYU, Colorado, Kansas, Oklahoma, Texas A&M. A Western pod of Washington, Oregon, Cal, USC, UCLA, Arizona, Utah. That's if the Big Ten expand and SEC expand past 24 to 28. Yeah, I never even put that in the algorithm whether they get to 28. All I did was 24 for the Big Ten, Capo, and it is a damn near certainty by 2035 the Big Ten does go to 24 teams.
Yeah.
Thank you for that generous super chat. If they go to 28, that might work. But I'm not surprised. I would not be shocked to see the SEC go to Arizona State. I know it's not contiguous because of New Mexico, but it's still, What were you going to say? You go ahead.
Yeah. So this idea here from Capo is right on the money. The more you dig into this here for Arizona State, even Utah and BYU, they're worth more separated than together. In different conference separated, grabbing markets from different conferences without doubling up. So the SEC gets into Phoenix and also the Big Ten gets into Phoenix. They're worth more separated than together in these rivalry area teams. Utah and BYU are worth more separated than together as well. It's the same idea. You don't want to be doubling up states anymore in realignment. And maybe if you have a massive state like Florida and you're down in Miami, the South, and Tallahassee up in the Northwest and stuff, that may be a little bit different story because of the population. But in Arizona and Utah, do you really get much bang for the buck when you grab two schools? Because if you look at the rivalry ratings and everything, they're not getting that much more juice. For Arizona State, for Utah, BYU, you're not getting that much upside for a conference. And maybe there's a lot of chatter and stuff in those local markets, but from a TV perspective, it doesn't make sense to do it. It makes sense to split these teams up. Arizona State, Arizona, if there is realignment, they should be separated in the SEC and the Big Ten.
Okay. Let me just show something here. I want to showcase this from the Last Moment Confidential video, and then we'll pull yours up. Look at this map, guys. This is a 24-20 team breakaway. Big Ten goes to 24, SEC goes to 20. There's another version of this map as well. I think this is a map that assumes that Virginia and North Carolina goes to the Big Ten, in which case you've got Arizona as an outlier for number 6. It comes down to Arizona versus Cal. So Arizona's an outlier for number 6 there. But, yeah, look at this. This is when we talk about breakaway. Look at the maps that you don't control. You don't control Idaho. You don't control Montana. You don't control Wyoming.
Nope.
These are low.
One. You got to get WVU in there.
That's true. We don't have West Virginia, but I mean, they're mostly low population states.
True.
So you're controlling a mass amount of population. The talk of having an AFC Big Ten, an NFC SEC really does come into play. And if you do expand the SEC to 24 and pick up Arizona and Arizona State, hey, that could work out. That work out.
I just don't see both of them going. I could see one of them going. I could see Arizona go to the SEC. I could also see Colorado and Kansas go to the SEC as well. Guys, the SEC and the Big Ten, they want the same type of schools, research-based schools, AAU status. It's the same blueprint. It really is. And so your candidate list is almost exactly the same, similar between the two, what they want. Of course, Notre Dame, they both want Notre Dame over anything else. But then North Carolina, Virginia, it's the fight for the same schools. So let me ask you this question. If that's the case and stuff, and there's been heat around, it's smoke around a candidate like maybe a Kansas or a Utah, why wouldn't the SEC be considering that? Of course, we know that Kansas and the SEC, they are. And plus, they get the Missouri-Kansas rivalry. That makes a ton of sense. That makes so much sense for the SEC to still go after Kansas. We talked about that over the last year. I think that makes a ton. But if you grab Kansas in the year of the SEC, why not go after Colorado as well?
Sure.
That makes a ton of sense too. They're
Sure.
AAU. They're right there.
Here's the thing. The SEC, they still say that they want what they call bordering states on it. So picking up a Kansas, you are still, Colorado has a little border with Oklahoma, so that counts. Does the SEC want to go that far west to pick up a Utah? That's the only question I have, because I think the Big Ten would pick up Utah before the SEC would pick up Utah.
Agreed. Right.
Yeah.
If you're going to Arizona and you're going to Colorado, then you probably would consider going to Utah as well, right?
Maybe.
I don't think the SEC wants to go any further west than Texas, to be honest with you. I really believe that. I believe they'll add 4 teams. They'll add North Carolina. They'll add Virginia. They can add Clemson and Florida State because of the brands. And that'll be a nice 20-team unit from Texas all the way to Florida, all the way up to Virginia, and up to Missouri on the other side. And I think that's where the SEC will be most happy. It'll be a 20-team. It'll be very travel will not be an issue under those parameters. And if you get to the Big Ten, the way I've laid the map out here with pods, you eliminate travel. Travel concerns. You've got 6 teams, plus Notre Dame is a partial, 6 teams. I don't know. But we're talking West
the
Coast
SEC
today,
goes to 24. Yeah, it's true. But like the SEC, if they go to 24 teams, like we talk about the SEC going and adding 2, maybe 4, but they add 8 teams, guys. Like they own a lot of those markets already in the South, right? Southeast right there. So it's like going after ACC markets isn't really that valuable anymore. You got a lot of those. Where else are you going to go to 24? You have to go to Kansas,
if
for
you
sure,
go in,
Kansas.
If you go into RDU, the SEC doesn't have the RDU market. That is UNC, that is Duke, and that is NC State. That's like bubbled off from everything else. Charlotte is a mixture of Clemson and South Carolina and UNC on there too. But I'll bring this up. The Mayo Bowl a couple of years ago, you had WVU and UNC playing in it. The games in Charlotte, I'd probably say 2/3 of the building was WVU, and you had a little bit of that Carolina blue in there mixed in, but they didn't quite North Carolina didn't quite fill that building up in Charlotte for that game. Whenever UNC played South Carolina in Charlotte, it was full of Gamecocks fans. You had probably 1/3 of it was Carolina blue, but it was full of South Carolina fans. So they do and do not have the Charlotte market, but that RDU market is not owned by the SEC. That is really owned by UNC, NC State, and Duke. It's that little bubble that they have.
Fair enough. All right, we're moving on to the Colorado Buffaloes. Go Buffs.
Go Buffs.
All right, you want to start us out on this, you?
Colorado Buffaloes are one of the most dark horse, like strong candidates that you don't hear as much chatter about that you should. I mean, geographically, they're right there for the Big Ten, and then also for the SEC, if that ever comes to fruition as a 24 expansion. Their AAU status. Boulder is the outskirts of Denver, so you own the Denver market, which is one of the top 20 DMAs, maybe top 15 now.
17.
Affluent state, 17 right there. You're in an affluent state. There's a lot of wealth in Colorado. Culturally, the state of Colorado would fit really well with the California schools in the Big Ten Conference. That's why Colorado went to the Pac-12. You've got relationships there from the Pac-12 days. There's a lot of things here for the Colorado Buffaloes that make sense to go to the Big Ten Conference. Like really in the market, like your historical success currently with Coach Prime too, the television ratings are #1 in the Big 12. So there's a lot to like here. And so Colorado is just one of those candidates that gets surprisingly limited conversation around it.
I think a limited conversation is that the Buffs football was down for so long. They finally got Coach Prime in there, and people are paying attention. Last year wasn't good, but Prime's health isn't good. So Colorado is probably right there exactly for the picking. If the SEC or if the Big Ten call up and say, hey, we're adding the Buffs, it wouldn't shock me either way, because you are getting a very good market. They have a great fan base. It's just that they spent so many years just down. And I'm sorry to say this, Fergie, they stunk for so long. And that they had so much fan apathy. And now they're finally selling tickets, and they're finally getting the NIL put together, and they're finally getting people to care about Buffs football. So if either of those conferences add, wouldn't shock me at all.
What say you, Moan?
I say Earl Carr's been a member for 31 freaking months. What? He said, mowing? Mowing is the word.
Mowing is the word. Mowing is the word. All right? I give you permission on this day to say mowing.
Thank you for that, for being a member for 31 months. And since you didn't say it in here, I will say go BYU, go Kansas State, go Big 12, go Utah. Sorry about the Utah thing, but I know you're always rooting. You're always for the Big 12, so go Big 12. Thank you for being a member for 31 months, sir. It is greatly appreciated. I will also go ahead and give you a little Cougar. Let's put a little Cougar on the stage for you. Cougar. Let's give you a little Cougar roar. If I can find it. Here it is. "31 months. That is awesome, sir. We appreciate it.
Let's go.
Awesome. You OG of OG. Thank you for that, sir. Got one more super chat here, and then we can keep on keeping on. Capo Major. TC with Big Central Pod with Nebraska, Iowa, Minnesota, Wisconsin, Illinois, Northwestern, America's Team Part 2. Yeah, Capo. I mean, we did a video on this, what was it, about last year? A little under a year ago, where we rated the candidates, and TCU was in that candidate pool. So TCU might have a shot. It'd be a long shot. I think it'll be a long shot because I think the Big Ten avoids Texas. And I think they avoid Texas because of the SEC. But if they're getting into Texas and they can't get Texas A&M or Texas University or University of Texas, TCU would be your next best option. Thank you for the super chat, sir. We'll give you a little udders. Let's see. What are we going to do?
Give the udders. They've been sucking you, sucking you, and sucking you. They've been sucking you, sucking you, and sucking you. They've been sucking you, sucking you, and sucking you. And you're sick of it. I get it.
That is, of course, our friend the Wild Ute explaining his theorem on milkers in college football. Would TCU be a milker at that point?
Yes. TCU would be a milker.
Thank you for the super chat again, Capo. You're very, very generous tonight. We appreciate that. Our friend Fergie, timing. It takes internal leaderships and friends to get into the SEC and Big. We have fixed those two things. We were pushing for SEC because of major friends at Texas, Oklahoma, Missouri, and Florida. And this is one of the reasons why I might have a reason, and I'm sorry, Fergie, I might have a reason taking Cal or Colorado. Damn, how many conferences have they been in over the last 20 years? They are just bed jumping. They went from the Big 12 to the Pac-12, back to the Big 12. Now you want them to go to the Big 10 or the SEC. I mean, come on. Put a ring on it, Colorado. Put a ring on it.
Colorado has the best logo in the nation.
It's where weed is legal.
It's where we, like, you live in California where weed isn't readily available.
Yeah.
Thank you for the super chat, Fergie.
Thank you.
I'll give you a little Colorado Buffalo sounder for you. Teams Colorado fight song. And then Earl Carr with a $5 super chat. How about the Big Ten repping the country well, bringing home gold medals? Absolutely. ACC, Big 12, all of them that are bringing home those gold medals for us, for the United States of America. Congratulations to all our Olympic athletes, and good luck to those that are still out there trying to win that gold for us. Let's win that medal count, guys. Let's win that medal count.
Yeah, let's do that. Absolutely. Any more thoughts on Colorado?
Nah, to me, their sports are just too bad to accept into the Big Ten. I hate to say that, but their football
but they are looking better. They are looking up than what they were 5 years ago.
Yeah, but it's like that scene from Monty Python where he's saying, "I'm not dead yet. I'm not dead yet," and he says, "Can you take care of this?" And they just kill him. It's really, they're showing signs of life, but they're not for this world for very long. Deion Sanders, great motivational tool for that institution. Great job on beating cancer. I'm happy for him, but those ratings are going to slip the more Colorado continues to get beat. And I think Colorado is going to continue to get beat because I think the job was too big for Prime. He was able to get by on his first year with Travis Hunter, but I just don't see it in Colorado for the next 15 to 20 years.
Mr. Gygax, start us off. Kansas.
Absolutely elite basketball. They are probably one of the top 5 basketball brands in the nation. They finally realized that they have football, and they got David Booth to cough up some money. They're in the middle of doing, I think it was $350 million rebuild on their stadium, something like that. I can't remember the exact number off the top of my head. So they're investing in their football, and their football for the longest time was a joke. Saying that, their one problem that they have is they're on the wrong side of the state line for the Kansas City market. They are in Kansas. Will that Big Ten network premium rate go into Missouri? I could not figure it out. I could not find out because Big Ten premium rate doesn't go from New Jersey into New York. So I do not know. Same thing with Maryland. It does not go into the district, but it does go into all the suburbs, north suburbs of DC. If you could sit there and say Kansas gets all of the Kansas City market in the Big Ten network premium rate, I would say that they're the biggest shoe-in that you have because they're now investing money. There, like I said, there are some questions.
There are no questions for me. Kansas is a Big Ten team, as you're going to find. Has the big cultural fit. We talk about cultural fit all the time. Kansas is the most cultural fit for the Big Ten.
And the Kansas City market is 33, by the way.
Right. And they're going to get that Kansas City market, even into Missouri. Even into Missouri, Lawrence is going to bleed over. Their CSA bleeds over.
I'm going to say that they're going to be watched in Kansas City, but can you get that premium rate in Kansas City, Missouri? I don't know.
I think you will. I think you will get that carriage fee into Kansas City, Missouri. Elite basketball, like you said, blue blood basketball.
Yes.
I mean, they don't get any more blue blood in basketball than, Naismith. So Kansas, to me, and they've invested. They built that new football stadium. Now, granted, it's not a huge
Lamb
stadium.
chop.
It's not a huge stadium, but guess what? Neither is Northwestern's, and it's very high end. It's very high tech. I like the design of the stadium. And Booth has given them $350 million as a gift, and that gift is going to be used to show the Big Ten, hey, we can fund ourselves for a couple years or fund ourselves partially for a couple years. If you just bring us on 30 cents on the dollar, 40 cents on the dollar, we'll fund the rest of ourselves. So to me, that means something. In terms of cultural fit, there is no better cultural fit among these teams in Kansas.
Agreed. Yeah, they are very Big Ten-esque. Elite basketball, the birthplace of basketball with Naismith, guys. This is basketball right here. The market it's good, not great. You do have a lot of wealth, though, on the Kansas side of Kansas City in the Lawrence area and like in the Overland Park area. So there is actually that's a benefit too. I think that you get both sides of Kansas City in Missouri and in Kansas. And KU is one of the key drivers in that market too. Missouri is very popular. It's really KU in Missouri, and you get some K-State fans too. But that would be a boon to the Big Ten. AAU status for Kansas. And so those are really your main drivers there. Basketball, blue blood, the money support, NIL support with Booth, stadium renovations, incentive to do it, and then the market. So there's a lot of things that you like here if you're the Big Ten looking at Kansas. Again, cultural fit too. It's a natural fit. Kansas is seeming like Kansas is going to end up in the Big Ten of the SEC, guys. Like they both have some smoke around both conferences. They make sense for both conferences. I think KU is a lot more valuable to the SEC than the Big Ten because you juice it with the Missouri rivalry. I think it adds a lot. And I think the SEC might want to chase down and get Kansas before the Big Ten does. That'd be an interesting development to see. But if we're going to a 48-team Super League with two conferences and it's going to be 24 each for the Big Ten and the SEC, Kansas is going to be in that. 100%.
Here's the thing. I'm going to disagree with you on it being more valuable for the SEC. This might be more valuable for the Big Ten. Simple reason being the Big Ten's basketball has not won a national championship since Bush was in his first term, I think, was the last time we won a national championship. So we need basketball programs, but especially if this breakaway does happen, and there's a partnership between the SEC and the Big Ten, you want those natural rivalries between the SEC and the Big Ten. So having Kansas in the Big Ten, Mizzou in the SEC, there's a natural conference-to-conference rivalry right there that I think you can take advantage of.
There's just not a lot of juice to me looking at the Big Ten and Kansas. Like, where's the historical matchups? Like, you look at the SEC now, it's the old Big 12. You got Oklahoma, you got Missouri. Missouri is the true rival right there. I mean, you get so much more juice by going to the SEC.
Kansas is
doing that.
Okay, but Kansas is more northern than those states.
Missouri and Kansas are the same plane there, right?
Yeah.
They're on the same plane, but I'm saying personality-wise, the Kansas fans are going to be, let's run a poll.
Yeah, let's do it.
Here's the thing. You got to think of it this way. Kansas, they were in the Big 8 with Mizzou. They were in the Big 8 with Oklahoma. They were in the Big 8 they were in the Big 12 with Texas. They were in the Big 12 with A&M. So they've got a lot of history with those people.
I'm not sure, Kansas, if they had a choice, I'm pretty sure this is going to say the SEC. We'll see, though. Very interesting.
Yeah, we'll see.
I forgot the Brad. Okay.
Let me get to a couple super chats here real quick, guys.
Do it.
There were 6 Badgers on the U.S. women's gold medal hockey team. Congratulations to the Badgers, but the Lady Buckeyes will get their revenge this year, Ryan.
That's the best.
That's definitely a Lady Badger. And then Earl Carr says, hey, guys, if there is a breakaway, where do you see BYU going? I see BYU staying in the Big 12.
I don't know. Go ahead.
I think, look, when I showed that map, you saw there's a big negative area where nobody's controlling. That's for the Big 12. I'm not saying that there's not going to be any conferences other than the SEC or the Big 10, but I'm going to say your two big conferences are going to be the SEC and the Big 10. There's still going to be an ACC. It's going to be backfilled mostly with the American teams. There's still going to be a Big 12, and that's going to be expanded with a lot of ACC teams. I think they're going to expand their market share. But I just think the two largest market shares are going to be Big 10 and SEC.
Go ahead, Daniel.
BYU suffers from the same thing that a Virginia Tech, a West Virginia, NC State, really, really, really good, but not to the point that they're going to get their foot in the door with the SEC or Big Ten. And it stinks, but maybe that third place conference can make reasonable enough money and be relevant enough to where you can still make a stink and upset some of these SEC and Big Ten teams.
Absolutely. Thank you, Earl Carr, for that super chat. And just remember what the Macho Man says.
But the cream will rise to the top. Oh, yeah. Macho Madness, yeah.
Good luck.
Got a thought on BYU real quick.
Okay.
Like, seriously, I think the best case scenario for BYU is to look for a best of the rest situation like Texas Tech. Without mean, though, what you need for that to happen is you need North Carolina, Virginia off the board, and like in getting those schools that are really uptight, seemingly, like, you know, like the old Pac schools and stuff. They'd always thumb their nose at BYU for cultural reasons. So you need to eliminate that from the best of the rest. So Virginia, North Carolina, all like the muckety mucks, go to the Big Ten or the SEC, and then a best of the rest scenario looks at the remaining board, and BYU is going to be one of the best brands there with a Texas Tech, with maybe like a Florida State, depending on how things shake out. That's the best case scenario for BYU. The question is like, what happens with, like, you know, Utah and BYU if Utah doesn't go to the Big Ten or the SEC? Because Utah has been like linked up and having private equity conversations with different schools and like with some rumors about starting like a best of the rest. But you don't, in my opinion, you don't need both BYU and Utah in the same conference, guys. I said that once before. And so it might be best if Utah did jump over to a Big Ten, then BYU finds it like, hey, we're going to go to the best of the rest conference. We're going to compete as that third mega conference. That's how I see it kind of working out.
Yeah. And that might be very reasonable to happen just due to the fact that you've got a lot of good brands out there. I mean, Virginia Tech's a way better football brand in the Commonwealth of Virginia than what the Cavaliers are. That's just how the world works. And they're going to be on the outside looking in.
The poll for Kansas, 60% Big Ten, 40% SEC.
Okay.
So
okay. Good candidate. The strongest one we've seen so far. I think we can all agree. We're moving on here to the tree, baby. The tree. And Mr. Gygax, since this is in your market, why don't you give a summary of what Stanford brings to the Big Ten Conference?
Money.
that's what I was going to say.
I mean, let's get right down to it. We can go through the number of alumnus that are on the Forbes 500 list, richest 500. That's a lot of Stanford alums. The problem that Stanford had is they didn't have somebody there that was looking out to get that cash back into the football program. And Andrew Luck is hitting people up left, right, and sideways to get people to open the wallets up for football. And it's starting to show that it's going to work. But Stanford does have a couple of issues. I was with my daughter, Stanford and San Jose State, in September. Announced crowd was 26,000. And to let you know, my daughter, she's a school teacher. It was teacher day. It was $2 tickets. I paid more money to park at Palo Alto High School. I still call it Pali. At Palo Alto High School than what I did for 2 tickets at $2 a piece. The service fee, which was like $3.75 a ticket, and what we ate at the game than what I did the $25 for parking across the El Camino from the stadium. Stanford's biggest problem is they need to get somebody in there to make them relevant again. And they are, like I said, that Stanford San Jose State game, like I said, $2 tickets. This building sits like 50,000 and change. Announced crowd 52. What was it? Announced crowd was 26,000 and change. Yeah. That right there. And like I said, that's San Jose State. That's a college that's, I think it's like 15 miles between San Jose State and Stanford's campus, something like that. 26,000. Stanford, like I said, Stanford's research and Stanford's money cannot be touched. They just need to get somebody in there to make them relevant in football. Oh, yeah, by the way, they win that Director's Cup left, right, and sideways because they got 36 sports there at the farm. I mean, you want to sit there and go down the list of national championships they have? It's insane. But it's not football. It's not men's basketball.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All you're taking Stanford for is the money, the research, the academic prestige. If you really care about Olympic sports, grab Stanford, but this is all a money grab. Stanford, if Stanford agreed to join the Big Ten Academic Alliance, the Big Ten Cancer Research Consortium, you were talking billions with a B dollar flooding into the Big Ten. You're talking billions of research opportunities for every Big Ten school because every Big Ten school is in the Big Ten Academic Alliance. It is a pure money thing. But in addition to that, it's also a pure Notre Dame thing. Stanford is chum for Notre Dame.
This is the #1 Big Ten realignment candidate outside of Notre Dame in the West for sure. It's Stanford. If they won in the Big Ten and they open up the academics, get out of and join the Big Ten Academic Alliance, they're going to be in the Big Ten Conference. This is a very Big Ten-esque university. One of the elites of the world, guys. This is freaking Stanford, right? But just look at the Olympic Games and all these athletes that come from Stanford. It just smells of Big Ten, has the money of Big Ten. It has the market of Big Ten. Is everything about Big Ten. This is the hands down #1 target, in my view, in the West for the Big Ten Conference is Stanford.
Also think of it this way. If you've got Stanford and they're sitting there hanging all these national championship banners and underneath it says Big Ten, that's a pretty good deal that you would get for the Big Ten.
It's a great deal for the Big Ten. It would be a great deal for Stanford. It seems like there is a lot of snobbery and pride, even to a degree above the Big Ten, which is incredible, actually. Stanford truly sees itself as Ivy League, right? And
Stanford,
so, can they humble themselves to go to the Big Ten? That's really what we're talking about here, guys. Can they just say, we're just going to share this research? We're not going to be in the Ivy League anymore. We're going to share with Big Ten.
The University of California, San Francisco, which is the big hospital that you have out here, had a deal with Stanford hospitals like 10, 15 years ago, where they were going to share notes and research. And guess who didn't share notes and research? And that was Stanford. UCSF got completely hosed in that deal. Yeah.
They're in. if they want it. And Notre
Yes.
Dame linkage, more evidence of that. I think they're going to end up at the Big Ten Conference. Very, very confident, guys.
Mark Bowman has joined us. Thank you, Mark.
Hey.
Iowa Hawkeye, resident Hawkeye. There'd be a great rivalry, the Hawkeyes versus the Jayhawks, the Hawk Trophy. Just got here. Do you really think the Big goes west before going southeast? It's a great question, Mark.
You tell me what UNC's going to do, and I can sit there and fill in the rest.
So, Mark, we wanted to do this live show because of, the conversation around Utah Big Ten. Greg's live show earlier this week and stuff, it had a lot of chatter and everything. And we said, you know what, let's just expand on the West-based teams, and not just Utah, but let's really examine all the AAU or like the linkage schools so we can actually give some good analysis. But really, when it comes down to it, Miami and Notre Dame are still number 1 and 2. And to my view, is Stanford too. Stanford's right there on that peg if they want in. Those are your top 3 realignment candidates for the Big Ten. Notre Dame number 1, Miami number 2. And then along the way, Georgia Tech's down there as well. But we just wanted to examine the West and not just Utah with this live show.
If UNC announces we're going to the Big Ten, it would not shock me in the least. If UVA announces, hey, we're going to the Big Ten, it wouldn't shock me in the least. If Georgia Tech announces, hey, we're going to the Big Ten, it wouldn't shock me. Just due to the fact that those are big AAU schools that you have in the South that, yes, they have options.
Listen, here's the thing. If the Big is committed to going to 24 teams, they can go west first. But if they do go west first, they are committed to going to 24 teams. They're going to take 2 from the West. I throw Kansas in there because I think Kansas you might consider a West Coast team. I consider them more of a Central Pod team, but maybe they don't grab Kansas right now. Maybe they grab 2 West Coast schools, a Utah and a Colorado right now, and say, okay, we're done until the Southeast is available to us, and then we'll talk about Kansas. But could they go west before they go southeast? They could. There's a real possibility. But if you do, just understand, if they do, they're committing to going to 24 teams. They're not going to stop at 20. They're going to go above and beyond. If they get 2 more teams out in the West Coast for a West Coast pod, that alleviates a lot of travel concerns for everybody else in the Big Ten. Everybody else in the Big Ten can then say, okay, stop griping about travel. You've got 6 teams out there to play. We can schedule it where you guys play each other more often, and you don't have to travel as much, and it'll work out better for all of us. And you can do that. But I think if, and that's a big thing, if is in the middle of the word life, man. If the Big Ten adds 2 teams out west, they're going to 24. They're not stopping at 20. Thank you for the super chat, Mark Bowman. I will give you a little evil thing here for the Big Ten.
Now you see that evil will always triumph because good is dumb.
New one's coming out this summer.
I don't even want to think about it.
No.
LC versus the Earth with a $5 super chat. He's calling for Notre Dame, UVA, Miami, Georgia Tech, Stanford, and Cal.
Mm-hmm.
Where's UNC in the SEC?
He doesn't have UNC. He's got UNC in the SEC apparently,
Okay.
which again could work. Got Virginia in the Big Ten, UNC in the SEC. Got that cross-conference rivalry going right there. That could work. Could work.
This is the academic play for the Big Ten. If it truly was this, you're getting Notre Dame, really good academics, Virginia elite, Cal, Stanford elite, Georgia Tech's really good, Miami's good. This is the academic play. So you're really appeasing the presidents of the Big Ten universities here.
This is also an athletic play here. Now, UVA did lose in the championship game in the ACC, but they were in the ACC championship game. Notre Dame played 2 years ago in the national championship game. Miami played this past year in the national championship game. Georgia Tech has been much improved under Brent Key. Stanford and Cal are Stanford and Cal.
check it out. Like if this was the ads, you've got Miami and Notre Dame. So you do add some football strength, but if you're grabbing all 6 of them, you've actually, I think that football wise, you've actually weakened your conference, and basketball wise too. There's really, it is what it is. Like you're stronger now than with these 6 ads in sports. At least
I don't understand how adding the last 2 teams to play for a national championship against the runner-up of a national championship weakens your football conference.
You've got Stanford, Cal, and Virginia.
I understand that, but you're getting 33% of that addition is elite football. Notre Dame and Miami. It's
when you look at it as a 6, you're adding 6 schools, and you're getting boosts from 2 of them, right?
What market size is Atlanta?
Well, I mean,
I'm just telling you guys from my perspective, this might happen and everything, but you're weakening your football power by doing this. And if but that might be fine. Someone needs to eat losses, right?
Yeah.
I disagree with you. I think Virginia's on the upswing. Georgia Tech's on the upswing. Stanford and Cal, they can eat those losses.
Yep.
Thank you for the super chat, LC versus the Earth. Let's give you a little basketball.
You kids with your loud music and your Dan Fogelberg, your Zima, hula hoops, and Pac-Man video games.
Atlanta is the 7th biggest market in America. Atlanta's got one issue that goes against Georgia Tech, and that is a university about 90 miles to the east. They own that area. And if you go a couple hours to the west into Alabama, they're number 2 in the city of Atlanta. Georgia Tech is 3 in their own city, which that market being that big, and you've got the 7th biggest market in America. Oh yeah, by the way, if you want to get premium rates for the 7th biggest market in America, that's pretty good. Miami is number 17, and that gets you into Florida, and that is huge because you can now recruit South Florida so much easier because you're going to end up playing a game there every so often. So you could sit there and send a coach down there a couple of days before the game, have them hit up the high schools to recruit, and guess what? Game time. It does help the Big Ten.
And here's the thing. Again, I talk about these cross-conference rivalries. Georgia Tech, Georgia, cross-conference rivalry. Florida State, Miami, cross-conference rivalry.
Yeah.
It works. But thank you for the super chat, LC versus the Earth. I appreciate that, sir. Let's move on to the next candidate here.
All right, last candidate here. I want you guys to give your assessment here. I'm going to largely be silent on this candidate because this candidate last week, I made a spiel for, and I think that everybody realizes, whenever I say anything about my school and stuff, it's going to have a bias, and I would love your guys' perspective. Real perspective, the good and the bad, right?
Okay. I have friends, and I have been there to Ogden on more than one occasion. I know Ute knows where Ogden is, the Air Logistics Center there in just north of the city. If I walk into any of the buildings there in the Air Logistics Center campus, what color are they primarily wearing? Is it blue or is it red?
Red. Okay.
Not in that Air Logistics Center campus there at Hill Air Force Base. It is a lot of BYU shirts that I see there. I was at the Air Logistics Center whenever he went to Florida, and I just forgot his name. Took over for Ron Zook.
Urban Meyer.
Urban Meyer. Thank you. My brain was just and they were talking to people there in Utah, there in Salt Lake, asking, what do you think about Urban Meyer going to Florida? And somebody in that interview, I do not remember the network. I do not remember what station I was watching it, was there in my hotel room there in Layton, Utah. they asked the question, why would he want to go to Florida? Couldn't he be happy here making $1 million? Now, I want to say Florida was offering $5.5 million at the time. It was quite a bit of cash. Utah does have a lot of benefits. Utah signed $500 million in private equity money. That goes a long way. Utah does not have to worry about redoing their stadium. The U.S. Olympic Committee is going to make sure that Rice-Eccles is going to be the nicest building that they have for the Winter Olympics.
Mm-hmm.
And the Salt Lake market is number 27. So you are looking at a market that does have upside. You do have a lot of companies that are moving into Utah. Just every single one that doesn't move to Florida or Texas out of California moves to Utah. I love Utah. I've been in Utah a bunch of times. I love the state. I think Salt Lake City is one of the most underrated cities in America. They've got, I almost said American Airlines. I can't remember who's got their hub there at Salt Lake City Airport. Delta Airlines runs a hub there. They've got Southwest that runs in and out of there. If you look at all of that put together, if it is 24, it would be a maybe going into the Big Ten. If it's 28, they're automatically in. It's just where does the Big Ten go? And like I said, we're just looking at Western candidates. Like I said, I love the state of Utah. I've been there a bunch of times. Where do they fit? And their football program has been really good. Their basketball, I should have wore the red hat because WVU could not rebound to save their life against the Utes last Wednesday night. They looked sad. But Utah basketball has had some slip-ups the past couple of years, but their football is really good. So that right there, I don't know if they make a 24, but they'll make a 28. It really just depends on where the Big Ten goes. If you would, like I said, if you were to rank them, I would say solid middle of all the people that are available.
That we've been talking about here.
Moen?
Go ahead, Moen.
Let's get a super chat in here from Mark Bowman. Utah is a strong candidate because they are doing the necessary preparations to join the Big Ten.
They are.
Absolutely. Let me see here. What do we got here? Oh, abuse.
Look, I came here for an argument. I'm not going to just... I'm sorry, but this is abuse.
And I'm going to say that with the much love as possible to you, but Utah is Utah, and Utah might want to learn to love the Big 12. They are a ally of USC. Right now, the Big Ten, especially Ohio State, is not a fan of USC regarding the public capital deal. Obviously, Michigan played their part in that as well, but Ohio State went the extra mile for everybody in the conference and did not get rewarded, and they did not get rewarded by USC and Michigan. And Utah is a USC ally, and that is going to hurt Utah. End of the day, that's going to hurt Utah. And I'm sure that Utah is out there making every amends possible to Ohio State right now. I'm sure they're saying, hey,
for what?
For siding with you, for being aligned with USC. Got to make amends.
Yeah. That's not changing. If Utah gets in the Big Ten, they're going to be a thorn in Ohio State's side forever, Moan.
Yeah, I know.
They will never align with Ohio State.
Ohio State's never beaten Utah. Convincingly with, Jackson Smith and Jigba. But, it's one of those things where I understand you want to be, I understand Utah fans. They don't want to be in the Big 12. They feel they've upgraded to the Pac-12. They feel that they've downgraded to the Big 12. My point of view would be on this. Remember, just a few years ago, you were in the Mountain West. It wasn't that long ago, historically
20 years
speaking.
ago.
20 years ago, right. 20 years ago, you went from the Mountain West to the Pac-12. Going to the Big 12 is not as much of a downgrade as you guys make it seem.
I thought they joined in 2012. The Pac-12.
2011.
2011. Okay.
Years ago.
Okay.
So yes, even less
years.
time than 20. Yes. Okay.
Okay.
So, I mean, for Utah fans, I think maybe learning to love the Big 12 is the right thing to do. Will you possibly get into the Big 10? Maybe. Should you be doing everything possible to get into the Big 10? Sure. Should you be talking about it? No. You should not be talking about it. Every Utah fan that keeps talking about it is just alienating Big 12 people. You're going to alienate them for several years if you continue doing this, which is probably not the good idea if you want to be a good partner. I understand you joined the Big 12 with that caveat that you can leave, which I understand you fully believe doing that based off of the fact you might get into the Big 10. And I like Utah. I think Utah's got a lot of positive points. I think Rice-Eccles Stadium is a great football environment. I think Utah is a great football program. It has to be seen whether or not Morgan Scalley can take that football program and keep it consistent. You went from Urban Meyer to Kyle Whittingham to Morgan Scalley. Does it stay consistent? Because if it falls off, the Big Ten ain't going to be looking there anymore. There's better academic schools we could get with bad athletic programs in Utah. That being said, if you ask me today, Utah is probably one of the top 3 candidates. But they're aligned with USC, and I don't think they'll get in.
Like I said, I love Utah.
Oh, you just completely zoomed out of the game. That was a strong reaction from Professor Ute.
I love Utah. Every person I've met in the state of Utah, probably some of the nicest people I've ever met. That area is absolutely gorgeous. Like I said, they're at Hill Air Force Base at the Ogden Air Logistics Center there at Hill. If you just do a t-shirt count, there's a lot of blue, not a lot of red.
Wow, guys. Wow. Okay.
Thanks
for the perspectives, gentlemen.
It's not that the Utes are bad. It's
what, Mr. Gygax?
It's what it depends on how many people the Big Ten gets. Let's say the Big Ten goes to 24. I don't think Utah makes the cut. Yes, it is a great fan base. Yes, they fill the building. Yes, they've got strong support. But if you look at other candidates, it's a maybe. If they go to 28, like some of the rumors floating around, then they're automatically in no problem.
Okay, gentlemen, thanks for your analysis with the Utes. I could give you a 2-hour dissertation why I disagree with this, but it would be futile because I think a lot of our community has heard that before. I think that I'll make a video, actually, Wilder University discussing this matter in depth more, so we can move on for now.
Okay. Like I said, it's not like it's a bad thing.
What's amazing about this is like it seems like everybody loses their minds whenever Utah to the Big Ten's mentioned.
I think
there's not a lot of rational thinking with it because it gets so emotional.
I agree.
It's kind of like insanity a little bit.
I agree, but you can't just put that all on the BYU or the Iowa State or the other Big 12 fans' plate. That's because since Utah entered the conference, they've been talking about the Big Ten. And I agree with you. If you need to get to the Big Ten, I agree with you. You need to get to the Big Ten. But there's a better way to do it than to be out there showing your ass saying, we want to go to the Big Ten. You keep it quiet, chill out, and if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't, and you don't burn any bridges.
Do you think WVU wants to go into the SEC every single day? Do you see Ren Baker, the AD at WVU, jumping up and down saying, please, SEC, pick the phone up? No. And that's I think that hurt with the previous AD, just the way that he went about it. Because you might want something, but yelling and screaming that you want it might not always get it. I'm going to bring up
very particular with the desire, what they want.
Yeah. I'm going to bring up words from Mick Jagger. You can't always get what you want, but if you try sometimes, you just might find you get what you need.
That's true. But I think that you need to, in life, I found that if you can't state your goals and go after your goals, then you settle, right? And like the Utes in the Big 12 have settled, right? And that's just not acceptable for Ute fans, guys. Like, I'm just being honest. And so there will always be pursuits, if it's a Big 10 or something else, into reaching other territory. That's just the mentality, and that's not going to change from the AD, from the head coach to the fan base and everything else. It's just how it is. And so if it's not the Big 10 today, then it's best of the rest tomorrow, and there will be pursuits forever. And that's just how it's going to be. But I do think I think it's much more likely than you gentlemen would like to think.
No, I said they're a top three candidate. I said they're top three.
In 2011, whenever Pitt and Syracuse announced that they were leaving the SEC, and then A&M announced that they were going into the SEC, and the SEC needed to pick up one more before Mizzou got accepted. Oliver Luck, what AD at WVU at the time, flew down to Birmingham and basically begged everybody there at the conference office, hey, let us in. And they were like, well, we'll call you back. And it didn't look good on WVU's end to beg that much to the SEC to let them in. Mizzou just said, hey, we're available. And that was it. There was nothing public on it.
Don't get me wrong, I love the begging. Yeah. I love the begging to get into the Big Ten. But keep it on the down low, brother. Keep it on the down low. You don't need to go out there and start screaming, especially your AD. When your AD goes out there and starts making comments, that's a bad look. It's a really bad look.
When did the AD make comments about Big Ten? He's never said anything.
He did, but he's made comments negative. He's made negative comments about the Big 12 multiple times.
Yeah.
Just chill out. Let things happen. Utah might end up in the Big Ten. But going out there and showing your ass to the rest of the Big 12, the only thing that's going to happen, you put West, look how he spelled West, with that W that looks like an ass. Showing your ass out there to the rest of the Big 12 and saying, we don't like it here. We're going to the Big 10. It does you no favors. There's no good that can come from it. Other than making you the villain in the Big 12, which I guess if you want to play the villain, congratulations, but you're not even really playing the villain. It's not like the wrestling heel where everybody pays to see him get beat up. You're playing the villain where you're just an obnoxious asshole where nobody wants to be around you. It's like that Progressive commercial with the guy who's passive progressive, who just says the wrong thing at every single point to be a dick to everybody. That is what Utah is walking around the party like. Utah's walking around the party going, hey, Kansas, it's a nice stadium you got there. Yeah. How many does that seat again? Hey, BYU, how you doing? You guys can't play on Sunday still? Okay. You're just going around irritating everybody. Stop it. You have a shot. You have a shot. I'm not denying you have a shot. Utah has a shot. because Utah has friends in the Big Ten. They do. They've got USC, UCLA, Washington, Oregon would all probably vouch for Utah. Just chill it out, man. Just bring it down a notch. Bring it down a notch. Bring it down a notch.
This goes back to the start of the relationship between Utah and Big 12, right? And the battles.
Mark Harlan's the old AD, right? Yeah,
he is the current AD.
Okay,
he was the old and the current AD.
Okay, he was out there yelling and screaming that he wanted nothing to do with the Big 12. Guess what? Whenever everything fell apart and Colorado said that we're in, and Arizona State said that we were in, and Oregon and Washington said we're out of the Pac-12, we're joining the Big Ten, what did Arizona have to do? They had to join the Big 12. WVU had to do the exact same thing in 2012. They didn't have a choice. It was the Big East was falling apart. The ACC wasn't returning phone calls. The SEC said no. So they had to take that life raft of the Big 12. Was it a bad thing? Somewhat, because they lost a lot of the rivals. Utah's biggest rival is now a conference game. WVU didn't play their biggest rival for 11 years. That happened. That's history. You just have to deal with it. And just it's the grief wheel, where it's like you got to go all the way to acceptance. It took a while to get to acceptance.
What if Ute fans aren't okay with accepting it? What if that's just not okay, and so you've got to ruffle it until something you break the chain?
Well, how long can it
seriously,
go?
guys? Like,
I mean,
look. I'll be really honest, guys. Like the Big 12 conference, we will see what the life of this conference is over the next 3 or 5 years, right?
We won't know. I'll be honest with you. I'll be honest with you. If the Big 12 falls apart, it wouldn't shock me. If the ACC falls apart, it wouldn't shock me, because I've seen it. Yeah. I've seen it before. Conferences just absolutely fell apart, and what can you do? Nothing. You have to be able to adapt and say, okay, we got to find what's next. And if it is Big 10 or bust, whenever, let's say, the Big 12 falls apart, the ACC falls apart, everything just absolutely collapses in 2030, what will happen then? Let's say Utah is going to be in the best of the rest conference. They're going to be in that third conference. I'm not saying that's going to happen, but there's so much uncertainty. Nobody knows. I mean, you had Chris on your show doing that video. Right. I've known Chris for 20 years. I've known him off the old Blue Gold News message board. There was discussion 20 years ago, and this is whenever originally it was Boston College, Miami, and Syracuse that were leaving for the ACC. Then Virginia Tech became crybabies and didn't want to get beat up by WVU anymore, and went into and Syracuse got booted out. A lot of political pressure from the governor of Virginia and UVA to get Virginia Tech in. Fast forward 9 years, the conference fell apart again. Big East is no more as a football conference. It happens. It stinks. So now you're going to have to. You just have to figure out. You have to be adaptable. You have to say, we can't go Big 10 or bust. You have to say, okay, we'll take this third place conference.
Yeah, exactly. And if the Big Ten's a bust, then it's going to be that third conference. That's going to be the new squawk and stuff. Here's the deal, guys. With anything in life, the relationships, if you get forced into something that you didn't want, then you're not going to be happy there.
Yeah.
Utah didn't want to go to the Big 12. Utah still doesn't want to be in the Big 12.
Here's the thing.
Utah's going to fight to get out of the Big 12 until they can get out of the Big 12. And then they're going to cause collateral damage along the way. And that ain't going to change. It's just how it's going to be.
Here's the thing with WVU and the Big 12. They were an odd fit, but you sit there and looked at the landscape there. It's like, you know, we can get along with these guys because they take football serious. And there was acceptance that, hey, we're now Big 12. We can do this.
Absolutely. We got some super chats here. Becky Go Husky says JSN is still catching passes versus Utah. I missed my chance to use this last week, so now I'm going to use it this week, Becky. Just this is the sound they hear every time Jackson Smith and Jigsaw. Thank you for the super chat. Evil Badger warns Wild Ute, be careful what you wish for, Ute.
I'm just telling you right now, if Utah ever makes their way in the Big 10, they're going to be a thorn in Ohio State's side. I promise you, Mo, a thorn in Ohio State's side. They will be. That's the nature of Utah football. It's not going to be USC anymore. It's going to be Ohio State, baby.
That's a very good way to get Ohio State's vote, by saying you're going to be a thorn in Ohio State's side.
Bring it, Ohio State. Bring it. Don't care. We're getting in, and we're going to be the thorn in your side. We are getting in, baby, whether you like it or not.
Boys, if you completely redrafted the top 40 to 48 college football programs, would Utah and Colorado easily get into that group? No conferences, fresh start. I think they both would.
Yeah. 48, yes. 48.
48, yes. Yes, that's about 48, yes. 40, you're going to have some issues. But thank you for the super chat, Evil Badger. I'll give you a little Matt Damon.
Matt Damon. Matt Damon. Matt Damon. Matt Damon.
Yeah, 2 Utes. What is a Ute?
There you go. I'll give you a little 2 Utes for Fergie. Thank you, Fergie. We've got Utah Ute Stan. He's a Stan for Utah Ute, and he's got a Big 12 logo up there. We demand that Utah fans love us more. Needy girlfriend, Big 12 fans. I don't think it's even a matter of you love us. Just stop saying you hate us. And then Jason Spangler, who's from Kansas. I actually was surprised when I found out Utah was being included with Arizona, ASU, and Colorado being invited to the Big 12. To me, Utah was in the group with Oregon State and Wazoo.
I was shocked too,
The
Jason.
Utes went to the Big 12 instead of the ACC guys. And I think that's a conversation that probably I need to examine a little bit more. If Utah would have been better off in the ACC today than the Big 12, I'm serious about that.
Here's
the
the
ACC
thing.
was calling right then. I'm telling you guys.
I'm telling you right now, if you were in the ACC, you would be no happier.
You would be miserable.
You would.
I could tell you right now that all those teams going up there and flying to Raleigh and flying all up and down the East Coast, miserable. Know how I know? There's a university out 20 miles that way, and they're miserable.
I believe it.
Yeah. So, I mean, at minimum, it's travel isn't as bad for Utah to go to Colorado, down to Arizona, Oklahoma. It's not as bad.
Fergie's saying in the chat he wanted Cartman instead. We'll give you a little Cartman. Student athletes.
Student athletes. Oh, that is brilliant, sir.
But yeah, I don't think you would be happy in the ACC either. You'd be immediately in the ACC and immediately trying to figure out your way to get into the Big Ten. You want to be in the Big Ten.
Yeah, it's true.
That's where you guys want to be. Daryl CRH says Utah to the Big Ten. Jamil de Soulblazer. Utah being in the AAU gives them an edge over BYU when it comes to Big Ten membership.
Correct.
FF18 Buff says 500 million buy into the Big Ten. It's like Rounders. Pay that conference their money.
Let me explain. Memphis brought $200 million to the Big 12, and the Big 12 said no. Is $500 million going to buy into the Big 10?
It's better than $0.
Yeah, it's better than zero. It's better than not having anything in the bank account. I will say that much.
$1 billion to Ohio State in a payment in an envelope. It'll happen. Salt Lake City just remodeled. Airport 2 equals the travel hub of the West, says Ron Loney.
Denver, LAX.
I was gonna say, yeah,
Phoenix.
Denver's Armageddon Airport might have a little say in that.
I was talking to Fergie in the chat. I despise going through Denver Airport because it is just an absolute mess to get through that place. But I fly in and out of SFO, and that's even worse. So,
well, underneath Denver Airport's where the
Yep.
alien base is, where they sacrifice children. So
the one Obama was talking about.
Yep. Utah has the backing of USC, UCLA, Oregon, and Washington. This is something BYU doesn't have at all. Also, Utah is a state school and doesn't have to worry about the church issues that BYU has. Well, I agree with you there.
BYU to the Big Ten just will not happen. Just due to the fact that
BYU
they're
to
not
the
AAU.
SEC won't happen either. And you can.
I would say the SEC is a lot better shot than the Big Ten.
Well, that's not saying much.
No, it's not.
That's like saying I have a better shot with Angelina Jolie than, some other supermodel. You took a lot of shots on X unfairly. If both the Big and SEC go to 24, Utah gets in because of its consistency, just like Colorado gets in because of its overall factors. Again, I've got Utah in the top 3. Yeah. I'm not saying Utah's.
That's 14 schools that between both conferences that they'll pick up. 6 with the Big Ten and 6 and 8 with the SEC.
I'll be honest with you guys. Like, I lose all my rationality when talking about Utah and the Big Ten. Like, it's basically all my analytical nature just goes out the door. And it goes back to when Utah was in the Pac-12. I was in that battle right there, like Big 12, Pac-12. And just those raw emotions still, every time this conversation comes up, it just brings back those memories.
And I get it. You're an alumnus. I completely understand where you're coming from. You graduated from Utah. You want what's best for Utah. I understand that. But I'm just saying the way you're going about it might not be the best way to go about it.
It's the Florida State approach.
It's the Florida State approach. Exactly. And Florida State, what did Florida State get out of that? Miami going to the national championship game and getting all that money.
We'll see if Florida State's going to get in the P2. Their football brand.
Utah, Arizona, and Stanford gives USC a fantastic voting block, and there you go. That is why Ohio State would be against it. So then it's Utah, Colorado, Kansas to the Big Ten. See, Curtis, okay, let's do it. What 2 teams from this West Coast pod do you think get to the Big Ten, guys?
Stanford, if they drop the Ivy League, but I don't think they will. I'm going to say Arizona State. No, I take that back. I'm going to say Arizona. I'm going to say Colorado.
Okay. You go ahead.
So we're talking about the targets we've been talking about. Who's the most likely to go to the Big Ten?
Yeah.
If you could pick, try and look good as objectively as possible.
Let's just take Utah out of the board because, of course, I'm not going to be able to look at that.
Let's say the Big Ten moves west before they move southeast. They're going to 20. They're taking 2 west schools. 2 of the schools we've talked about. Which 2 schools are they taking?
Leaving my alma mater out of it, I'm saying Stanford and Kansas. It's not even close.
Okay. I am going to say Kansas and Stanford. If Stanford says no again, then I think it would be Kansas and Utah. I nothing against Arizona fans. I just don't know that they want to get into Arizona that bad.
I'm not even sure that they really wanted the Big Ten that bad. I mean, they're pretty happy in the Big 12, seemingly, Arizona fans.
You mean to tell me that Arizona, if you go up to Arizona fans and say, "Hey, you have a chance to go into the Big Ten," they would say no?
Good point. They would go.
Yeah, they're in. And
they seem to like have found a little pocket though with their basketball in the Big 12. That would be hard to replicate in the Big 10.
Well, they could dominate the Big Ten in basketball. I mean, that's a brutal basketball team that they've got there in Arizona.
It's a huge travel too. If you're down in Tucson, just imagine going to games for basketball. Jeez,
where did Utah play Wednesday night?
Yeah, West Virginia.
How far is that?
Very far.
I can tell you right now, it's a 1,700-mile flight.
Damn.
From Clarksburg, West Virginia, where the airport is, to Salt Lake City.
Mark Bowman with the $2 super chat. He says Utah and Arizona. I think Kansas and Arizona might be another good one to pick. But again, I don't know that we should include Kansas West, because I think Kansas is more of a central, but we've got to include something if the Big Ten's expanding to 20 before they head to the Southeast. Kansas would be easily one of the ones that is most available, along with Utah, Arizona, Stanford, Cal, those things. Laszlo says it changes everything.
Well, that changes pretty much fucking everything. Count me in.
Thank you for the super chat, Mark Bowman.
Thank you, Mark.
Much appreciated. We got about 3 minutes left. I will go ahead and let you guys say your piece. Let's start with you, Daniel. What do you want to say before we head out here?
Just, we don't know what's going to happen. We are guessing. And if you tell me what UNC is going to do, I can fill in every other chess piece on the board.
Stanford, the school that doesn't get enough attention in Big Ten expansion. I think back to the chatter about Notre Dame and Stanford's linkage about going to the Big Ten together. That was like leaked out of Notre Dame and Stanford circles. This is about a year and a half ago. That's never left my mind. Stanford is the school that's going to get in if they want to get in, and they kind of control their own destiny with Notre Dame. Those two. So I just see Stanford ending up in the Big Ten. I'm almost certain of it.
Fair enough. I will say this. I don't know that the Big Ten goes west before they go southeast, but if they do, they've got to pick up new markets. Got to pick up new markets, whether it's the Bay Area, whether it's one of the Arizona schools, whether it's Utah, whether it's Denver, Colorado, whether it's Lawrence, Kansas, Kansas City, Missouri. Got to pick up new markets. Must have. I know people disagree with me on the basketball thing. Basketball is increasing in value. It would be a good idea to have a decent basketball program with whoever you add. So maybe Kansas, Arizona would be your best bet. We'll see. They do want Stanford, though. Stanford above all. For myself, for Professor Wild Ute, for Daniel Gygax, who joined us tonight in lieu of Nathan Bomber Brown. Nathan, hope you feel better, dude. Get better. We will talk to you again on Sunday for Mowing After Dark with myself and Rock and Rant. Looks like we got one more super chat here I have to get to. Man, do I miss 1990. Old man yelling at clouds. Hey, man, I miss the 90s too, Fergie. I miss the 90s too, brother. What are we going to do? What are we going to do? We just have to plug in our Walkman and listen to a little Mazzy Star and fade into you. That's all I can do, Fergie. For everybody else, we will catch you next Friday here on the channel for another episode of the Big Freaking Friday Show. Thank you to everybody who tuned in, everybody who supported, everybody who left comments and super chats and became members. Those were all great. Thank you very much, and peace out.